What's going on, guys? And this is episode number 9 of the Underdog's Edge. And I'm so excited to have you tuning in. And season 1 is almost wrapped up. I'm going to do 10 episodes and we're going to go into season number 2. And what I want to do for season number 2 is to start interviewing guests, local entrepreneurs, business owners, people nationwide, to kind of go over different topics and subjects. But if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is the Underdog's Edge podcast. And on this podcast, we go over 3 different areas: career, confidence, and achievement. And we're going to be interviewing people going over those subjects. We're going to be going over many different topics that correspond to those areas of life. And my whole intention for this podcast is to help deliver some value to you where it can help you in your career, your confidence, and your achievement, and give you practical action steps that you can take today to help you get to where you want to be and to achieve and conquer your goals. And I'm just very, very grateful to be able to do this podcast and very excited to continue to do it. So it's a learning process for myself. I'm learning every single day, every single week. I'm getting better. I'm doing the best that I can to improve and to be the best version of myself. And doing this podcast is definitely part of that process. And so I'm very grateful for you to tune in. And today's topic, episode number 9, we're going to be going over leadership. Man, and leadership, how vital and crucial is leadership? Guys, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you're an entrepreneur, you're a salesperson, leadership is so crucial. Organizations and companies and countries, rise or fall based off of their leadership, right? So leadership is so crucial and so important. And I want to go over a few things on leadership, kind of the pros and the cons of being a leader. The real deal with leadership. I mean, this is not theory. This is action oriented podcast. So we're not going to go over philosophy and all that. We're going to go over what actually happens when you're in a leadership role, and some of the challenges that come up with that, but also some of the opportunities and some of the awesome things that you can do as a leader for the people that are working with you towards that bigger vision. And so first I want to kind of identify what leadership actually is. And I know there's probably many different definitions of leadership, many different ways of thinking of what leadership is. This is just my definition of it. And I think it really has 3 different components. The first one is service. So leaders service and give service. And they're basically servants to the people that work with them to create that greater vision. And what do I mean by that? I know servant leadership gets tossed around a lot, and I know it's kind of a buzzword, but to me, a true leader is someone that serves by being with your guys and putting them in the position to be successful, whether it's giving them the right tools, resources, education, information, but serving them by being with them by their side, helping them, uplift them, inspire them, motivate them, teach them, guide them. Service by helping them with tasks that they need help with, being, diligent on, getting stuff done that may be tedious. There is no job that is, too good for a leader, right? So if you're the owner of a company, if you're, a leader in a church, if you're, a community leader, whatever it may be, there's nothing too, you're not too good for a task. That's something that I've learned is all tasks are important. Some are more important than the others, but if something needs to get done as a leader, you have to have the mindset that you have to roll up your sleeves and get it done. It doesn't matter what the task is, so I think being a leader is just giving service to your people, serving the people that are on your team, serving them and helping them and uplift them. I think that's the first component of leadership, is service. The second one is mentorship. Mentorship. I believe that mentorship is very crucial if you're a leader. What does that mean? That means your job, as one of your jobs as a leader, is to duplicate yourself to the best of your ability. And you do that by coaching, teaching, and mentoring. You do it by instilling and giving your team valuable information that is going to be crucial for their success, keeping them in the light, making sure that the communication is flowing and that there's an open communication, that you're giving them the right information that's going to help them be successful for your job. I think oftentimes as leaders in the business world or any place, is sometimes leaders feel like they need to hoard information. They need to withdraw information because it's coming from a place of scarcity, coming from a place of, well, if I can't give them too much information, maybe they'll have too much control, too much power. Maybe the quote unquote leader might feel like they lose leverage. These are the dark sides of being in leadership positions that can be very detrimental to a team. You know, one of the aspects of leadership is truly mentoring your people and giving them every piece of information that is going to be relevant to their success. And you cannot withhold or withdraw any information. Now, there's a time and a place to deliver information. Sometimes information, if they can't actually execute or apply it, it may not be relevant for that moment. But if they can execute and they can apply it and it can actually help them in their success, we have to mentor and teach our people. And so we can uplift them and educate them to their highest degree. It's very, very important that we have to help grow our people. So service and mentorship. The third component is having moral authority. You know, what does this mean? Moral authority. And these are all my definitions or all my aspects of leadership. I believe moral authority is, you know, literally practicing what you preach, literally to a literal degree. So, you know, whenever you have the integrity of telling your people, hey guys, we need to do A, B, and C, and D, you have either done it yourself multiple times and have executed on it and have attempted it and have actually had some success with it, or you're doing it on a daily basis and you're doing it yourself. I think that gives you moral authority as a leader. One of the worst things is whenever you're trying to lead people and educate them and uplift them or whatever, and get them to do tasks and do jobs or do activities, and you don't actually practice that yourself. You don't even have the discipline yourself to do it. You can't even discipline yourself. You can't even control yourself. That's a lack of moral authority. And whenever you have lack of moral authority, it's very challenging for people to want to follow you and want to take your lead or follow your lead. People can pick up on that. People can pick up on the lack of integrity. And when I mean lack of integrity, it doesn't mean necessarily have to mean something so serious, like there's a moral issue, like they're doing something negative. Lack of integrity just simply means if you're going to tell person A, you know, to execute on A, B, and C, that you actually execute it yourself or have executed it many, many times. So there's a true integrity there of you actually done it yourself and you're giving instructions that can be duplicated and you actually have experience in that. I believe that if you're as a leader, if you have not experienced something, I think you have to be upfront with your people and say, hey guys, this is new territory. You know, I've never done this before. I think you have to have that transparency with your people and literally say, this is awkward for me, or this is tough for me. This is challenging. I've never actually done this, but you know what? We're going to figure it out together. I think that's the best route to go if you don't know something or you don't have a certain experience or skill sets in certain things. I think it's the right thing to do as a leader to be vulnerable and to be honest and say, hey, I don't know it all, but I tell you what, I can figure it out. And that's where that growth mindset comes in. So the recap of what leadership actually is: service, mentorship, and moral authority. To me, those three aspects is what makes leadership: service, mentorship, and moral authority. It's so vital, that we have strong leaders in our world. Doesn't matter, what industry or aspect of life that we're discussing. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and it is truly one of the most important and most valuable things in the world that we have is good leadership. Teams, to me, teams or companies, organizations are simply a reflection of the current state of the business or a reflection of the leader of the organization. And what do I mean by that? If you look at your team, if you're a leader and you're the owner of a company, or a leader of a church, or a leader of a community organization, or you're a leader of a department, if you look at your team, that is a reflection of you as a leader to some degree. Okay. The success of the team or the failure of the team, the standards of the team, the attitude of a team, the execution and the performance of a team, it reflects you as a leader. And I'm not going to go into how this happens, but it truly is. It's a fact of life. Your team is a reflection of you. Now, that being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that if someone on your team is out of alignment, or someone on your team is not performing, or someone on your team is not executing, it doesn't mean that it's literally a reflection of you. But if you keep them and you accept that standard of execution, of performance, then it is a reflection of you. So I think as a leader, if you find something in your organization that doesn't align with you and your core values and your standards for where you want the company to grow, it's your responsibility to address the situation and to either help that person grow and to improve, or help that person go find another opportunity that may be more suitable for them. And then you got to bring on someone else that does reflect your values and standards. But if you keep people around, then it is a reflection of you, and it's a reflection of your standards and your values. So I think I'm saying that because as leaders, we have to take full responsibility for our team, the execution of our team, the performance of our team, and the success and the failure of our team. It is 100% on the leader's shoulders what happens to the performance and the execution. It's not, as a leader, you cannot be blaming your team. You cannot be blaming outside external situations or circumstances. You cannot be blaming your business partners. You cannot be blaming your spouse. You have to take full responsibility as a leader of the team, of the business, or whatever it is, and say, listen, we're not succeeding in this aspect. What am I doing that's holding us back? What am I doing that's keeping us from growing? What kind of mindset do I have that's keeping us from being successful? Is there something that I'm doing that's holding us back? Because teams grow as the leader grows. Businesses grow as their head people grow. That's just how it works. And so if you're having some issues in your team, in your organization, the buck stops with you. And as a leader, you have to look at yourself and say, where can I grow? Where can I get better? Where am I missing the mark? And this is really, really challenging because as human nature, the natural thing to do is we want to externally blame other things. And we want to blame people, or we want to say, you know what? It's because of A, B, and C, or it's because of them. They're not this, they're not that. And some of that may be factual, but if you're accepting that standard, if you're accepting that performance, then it is your responsibility. And we have to look at ourselves, and we also have to say, as the leader of the company or the business, and say, listen, what am I doing? Like, where can I get better? Because there's always areas of improvement. There is always areas of improvement. And as a leader, your job first is to grow and to maximize yourself, and then your team will follow suit. You got to master it yourself, educate yourself, improve yourself, get help, get coaching yourself, grow professionally and personally yourself. And then the people around you will start to mimic and start to reflect that. Or you'll find people that will reflect that better, and it'll be more aligned with who you are as a leader of the company. So we have to take responsibility as leaders. We have to literally look at ourselves and say, what am I doing? Like, where can I get better? Where can I improve? What can I do to truly become better at my craft, better at my service, better at my business? Where can I communicate better? These are all things that we have to ask ourselves as leaders in a company, a business, or any organization. One of the biggest things I want to hit on before we wrap this podcast up is, just truly being vulnerable. And that kind of ties into what I was saying about asking yourself those tough questions about where you can grow. One of the biggest challenges in leadership is our own personal ego. Our own personal ego can literally be the absolute downfall of our success. Now, ego is a two-sided coin, or I would say a double-edged sword. So when I say ego, it's not all negative. Matter of fact, it's actually healthy to have a strong ego when it's used appropriately. So we're not going to go into that. We'll have another episode. We'll go into that. But I want to talk about the negative side of ego, where it's relevant to this. As a leader, or the company owner, or whatever you are, and you're leading people, the most vulnerable thing, the biggest thing that you're going to be, your biggest downfall, the thing that's going to be easiest to cause a downfall, is your own personal ego. And the tricky thing about that is oftentimes it's blind spots. That is the biggest challenge. Is the ego will tend to blind you from the truth. It will tend to keep and withhold the light, the truth to you, because it wants to protect its position or its opinion on something. As a leader, we have to recognize that it is not our job to have all the answers. It is not our job to be a know-it-all. It's not our job to be the best person at every single task. It's not our job to be a perfectionist. Those are all things that are not corresponding to leadership. Leadership is being able to keep people together. Leadership is being able to drive the train forward, drive the ship forward. It's not about knowing it all or having all the answers. That is why there's a saying, delegate to elevate. As a leader, you have to accept that the people that you bring onto your team are literally better than you. Literally better than you. And what I mean by better than you, I'm saying that they have more potential for a certain task or a certain activity than you do. Typically, leaders, are usually pretty competent people in general. But the challenge is, one of the biggest downfalls, and I've experienced this myself, is feeling like you have to do it all. Feeling like you have to do every single task, every single thing, that everything has to go through you. And whenever you're in that place, it's literally because your ego is feeding you those false thoughts. And it's because you have a false view of what your job actually is. I have learned that my job as a leader is to simply serve, mentor, and coach and elevate. Now, does that mean that I don't do tasks and I don't work? Absolutely not. You have to do the task, but the task is for the team. Executing on activities is for the betterment of the team. Executing certain things that need to be done is to help the team grow. It's not because you want to be a perfectionist. It's not because you're the best at the task. It's just because it's the necessary thing to do. But our jobs as leaders is to delegate appropriately to the right people, to be able to where they can handle and perform on their task in an autonomous nature where they have autonomy, they have personal authority, and they have the personal ability to execute so they can maximize their success in their role. And as leaders, we have to be okay that other people are better than we are. And to me, I have truly adopted this philosophy, especially the past 6, 7, 8 months of my life. And it has been a game changer for me. I have to understand that I'm not good at everything. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, but I'm working on being a great leader. And so I have changed my role from having to be a perfectionist at every single task, changed my role from having to make every phone call, changing my role from, having to, contact every single, buyer or seller or whatever the task is, and delegating those tasks to people on my team that are not only competent to do it, but better. They're literally better at it. And then my job is to mentor and coach them so they can get even better, so they can perfect their craft, to put them in the position to be successful. So guys, if you're a leader, delegate to elevate. Delegate to elevate. Let go of the false idea of control. Let go of the false belief that you have to do every single thing. Let go of that false notion that the leader has to be in control of every single thing. That's not leadership. That's a dictatorship. And that's not going to be conducive for long-term success. So delegate to elevate. And the last thing I want to touch on is not giving up when things get hard. And oftentimes when things get hard, the leader feels it the most. The head of the company feels it the most. They feel the most stress. They feel the most anxiety. They feel the most pressure. And those are just parts. That's just part of the job. That's just part of the being a leader. That's part of the responsibility of being in that position. And so when things get tough and you feel pressure and you feel the heat, to not give up, and I know that's easier said than done, but it's something where if you can stick it out, even your team will have more respect for you and your abilities to tough it out and to stick it out and to find solutions for the current challenges. So leadership is such a powerful thing. I have had some phenomenal leaders that have came into my life that have mentored me, helped me, coached me, and there's so many. They've come at different times in my life, but they always come when it's needed. And I have been mentored, and I mentor. And that's the thing about leadership is you have to always be rising up. So as you're leading a team, as you're helping a team grow and elevate, at the same time, you have to be getting led. Someone needs to be leading you. Someone needs to be teaching you. Someone needs to be mentoring you. And as leaders, we have to have the mindset of personal growth. We have to have the mindset of, I don't know it all. And if I'm not good at something, the mindset needs to be, okay, I'm not good, but I can learn. And, I don't believe in a fixed mindset. I don't believe that, my belief system is I can learn anything. If I need to learn it and want to learn it, I can learn it. And there's a lot of things I don't know, but I know I can learn. That's one thing I know I can do. And everybody can do that. Everybody can learn. So as a leader, as you're building your team and you're building your organization, and you're leading your people, at the same time, you need to be led by somebody who has more information than you, somebody that has more experience than you, someone that has more wisdom than you. And you have to take wise counsel. You have to take wise counsel. Having good counsel in your life is so crucial and so important. Having wise people be able to help you with the right information and the right choices and decisions is absolutely crucial. And as a leader, you have to have counsel in your life. Now, they have to be the right people, but you have to have counsel. So that is it for episode number 9, leadership. I'm so thankful that you're tuning in to this podcast, The Underdog's Edge. This is the podcast that's going to help you in your career, your confidence, and your achievement. And guys, season number 1 is almost wrapped up. I'm going to do one more episode with just myself. And then season number 2, I want to start actually doing some interviews and interviewing guests so we can go deeper on these topics of these areas of life that are so important to our career, our confidence, and our achievement. Go out there, have a phenomenal day, and be the best leader that you can be. Doesn't matter where you are right now. Doesn't matter what position you're in. You have the ability and the opportunity to lead somebody. And I challenge you to lead where you are. Start leading from where you're at right now. Don't wait before a title. Don't wait to go get a new job. Don't wait for a new opportunity. Create the opportunity and start leading right where you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what position you're in. It doesn't matter what occupation or where you work. You can be a leader literally right now. So go out there and crush it. Let's go.